Yeah, I did. I'll talk about it after the meeting. Folks, at 7:01, we're gonna get started. I'm calling the meeting to order and I'm gonna do a roll call. We do have a quorum tonight. I know Bob will not be here. John?
Yes, here.
Alex?
Here.
Andy?
Present.
Bettina?
Here.
Danielle is not here. Daryl is not here. Alita's not here. Jennifer?
Here.
Kristen?
Here.
Laura? Here. And Richard is not here. But we do have a quorum. All right. Second up, adoption of the agenda or agenda changes. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? Laura?
I was wondering if we can. I wanted to add, oh, I know. For the parks meeting tomorrow, they're going to be talking about the area that we've been proposing for a dog park there on 52nd Street. And I guess there is a second usage as a garden for some of the people. And having it be a community garden really takes it out of the public purview. Only a few people are allowed to use that public community garden. So I was wondering if we could maybe talk and vote on that, because they're having a meeting tomorrow at the park meeting.
What would we be talking and voting on?
Voting on whether we want to support a dog park in lieu of a.
Sorry.
In lieu of a community garden.
Oh, well,
Not enough info.
yeah, and I also wonder if it's not out of our purview since it is Park and Rec decision. I will be there
And so will I.
and Danielle will be.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, I was hoping that, I know.
No, that's supposed to be on. Somebody else, if
Oh,
folks, does anyone who has their laptop, please make sure you're muted. Okay.
do you want me to go hit the
Yeah.
got it button? Okay, that's what I was
Got it.
asking.
Thank you.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So I would rather encourage people to attend the meeting tomorrow night, Laura.
Okay, well then during public comment, I'll discuss it until the meeting starts at 6:30
Yes,
at Colina del Sol.
at Colina del Sol, yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a little aggravating. Well, to me. Personally.
Thank you.
What time is that?
Okay,
6:30?
6:30. Okay, so agenda will be adopted as is without objection. Communication from the public on non-agenda items.
Oh, closed would be closed.
All right, I'm going to let Kathleen Lippitt go first. She's online, Jan, and you will be second. Hi, Kathleen.
Sorry.
Oh, that's great.
Good evening. Good evening.
You have 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yes. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Kathleen Lippitt. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. As a public health promotion advocate and policy researcher, I support policies that are cost-effective, sustainable, and reflect community priorities. Not long ago, the decision of whether to spend more money on pot instead of parks and youth-serving programs would have been considered a reductio ad absurdum choice. Helping to set up an individual previously convicted or involved in drug crimes in a vulnerable community would be detrimental to both. The mayor has suggested that the city return $880,000 grant that would to have set up permit marijuana businesses under the guise of equity. It was never supported by research, evidence, or even common sense. A cost analysis prior to the city agreeing to divert attention from community priorities to creating a process to codify a commercial for-profit marijuana industry to support them would have been recognized as costs far outweighing mythical benefits. The mayor's proposal to cut the seed program would otherwise have brought more marijuana businesses into our neighborhoods. Normalizing marijuana use has encouraged youth to accept the industry's claim that marijuana is the answer to many of their temporary problems that they are experiencing. The state has indicated that they are going to cut back on social equity programs, indicating local governments will be responsible for them at that point. It will become yet another unfunded mandate. Imagine how much money the city might have saved had it never agreed to accept the state's funds to establish a marijuana permitting process in the first place. And regarding equity, the whole concept of equity policies are inherently exclusionary, inequitable, and sometimes racist. There's no effort to make some industries that are clearly of one color or another chosen for those abilities other than merit and on merit. And doctrines that try to right that wrong in an effort to make everyone equal have been disastrous. So thank you for letting me speak. I just wanted to express those concerns.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
iPhone, could you identify yourself, please? Your hand is up. You're muted. Oh, hi.
Hi, good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and I am here to talk about the social equity cannabis program that the city had or is proposing to bring forward. The good news is that that the mayor presented his budget proposal, and he has suggested cutting the entire program, cutting it from the budget entirely. This is great news because we were looking at possibly the number of pot shops doubling in our city, specifically south of Interstate 8. That would take 36 pot shops up and adding another 36 pot shops, and locating them near and around sensitive uses like schools, parks, churches, and libraries. So as a parent, I'm very grateful that the mayor has proposed to cut this program and return the grant money to the state. But it is now in the hands of City Council to vote. And so I just urge you to possibly write a letter to your City Council member and your the council representatives, letting them know that parents are not in support of expanding the marijuana industry in the city, and encourage City Council members to support this part of the mayor's budget proposal, as the last thing we need is to bring more pot into our city when we're already struggling so immensely with drug addiction and homelessness. Our youth deserve better than this, and I just urge you to speak out as a planning group, but also speak out individually as a community member and a parent and a grandparent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. Appreciate it. Jan Hinsman. 3 minutes, Jan.
I'm Jan Hinsman from the College Rolando Library, and I've been here before you a couple of times. I have a quick update. We learned just very recently that the Development Services review of the project adjacent to the library, that very large project you see on the sheet before us, has been signed off by all of the department members. The permit has not yet been issued, and we continue our opposition to the project and are continuing to urge the mayor specifically and our council member to object to this project. Our basis for objection really are three. First of all, the project is the parcel is zoned specifically to restrict residential development. And that was a part of agreement that was negotiated between the owner and of that property and the city back in 2019. And that negotiated agreement is the second diagram that you see on your paper. And on that diagram, you can see parking for the library has been retained, but though the protections of that agreement have been tossed aside. And secondly, the affordable housing regulations that have given rise to the city's waivers and incentives for housing do not apply to this property because the property is zoned specifically prohibited from residential. And now we have a third basic reason for objecting, which is the city has not proven that there is an easement over the city property for the use by the private property, and allowing such use without an easement really is a gift of public funds and is an inappropriate action by the city. So our objections continue, and we're not going to stop advocating for parking for this library. So there's no other way. All right. Are there questions? Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Jan. And I'm gonna. Okay, and then.
My name's Kate Callan, and I'm right on behalf of Barry Hoffman, who's running the city council. I think many of you knew him like here at the community relations. Maybe some of you think it's why. Prior to that, in the summer, before that, he served with the Marine Corps. Mark has asked me to take those of these meetings. Please let me know if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me. If what's going on. Now, this.
Thank you. Danielle, just a moment. I saw a couple of other hands up here. Jan?
Good evening, I'm Jen Eastman. I went to the Southeastern Planning Committee last night, and the letter that was proposed to close the fire station at that location was tabled for their next meeting. Hopeful to get in front of them to discuss how flooding upstream affects everything downstream. And glad that Mr. Williams is here today. I did bring big copies of the thing you had yesterday. Brought that in case you should have the one. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know how things are progressing with the watershed fire station letter at other meetings.
Okay, thanks, Jan. Was there one more hand up? Hi. Could you identify yourself, please?
My name is Scott Nagatoshi. I'm here on behalf of City Council Member Paul Parent. He's running for the State Assembly here in District 79, and I just wanted to come and hear about some of the community's concerns, take notes and understand what issues are facing the Eastern area here. A lot of the communities that are represented here in the planning group are in District 79, and we've been making our rounds to a lot of these city planning groups, trying to figure out the community and understand some of the issues. A little bit of background, Councilmember Paul Parent, he has served on the local city council since 2016. And some of the things that we're looking on our campaign on housing and homelessness, making sure that we have more affordable homes to purchase and more affordable housing for folks that need it. We also want to make sure that we are investing in public safety, keep our community safe, and restore trust and our first responders, that our community feels safe in their homes and in their neighborhoods. Finally, road repair and infrastructure funding. The city of San Diego received a lot of state funding for road repairs, pushed up to more affluent areas in the San Diego County and in the city of San Diego. Here in District 79, especially in your community and a lot of southeastern San Diego, have some of the worst road conditions as identified by the city of San Diego. And we need to make sure that we're holding our city accountable for the funds that they're receiving in the state. So if elected, you'd like to push some policy that holds cities accountable for the funding that they receive. That's the purpose of that. folks. But above all else, we want to hear from all of you, and so I will go ahead. If okay, I'd love to leave a list of brochures and some literature up here for anyone who's interested. It has our contact information on there. These lines go directly to Colin himself, and so please reach out via text, email, phone call, and we'll make sure to get back to you about any issue that you're facing. We should be prioritizing on our campaign, or if he gets elected up inside. Thank you so
Oh,
much for your
thank you.
time.
Danielle?
Yes, I have a procedural question, please, Madam Chair. Where is the microphone located in the room? And the reason I ask is because the lady right after Jan Hinsman, maybe it's my computer, but I could not hear anything that she said. So,
It's, yeah,
is it right in front of Kristen?
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Okay, so maybe when the people from the audience come up, they can stand closer to the microphone in
Sure.
the future? And could you
I'll do that.
let us on Zoom know what was the lady talking about right after Jan Hinsman, please?
That was Kate Callan, and she was here on behalf of Terry Koskins, who is a candidate for District 9.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any other non-agenda comments, Laura?
I just wanted to give some details on the Park and Rec meeting tomorrow and the issue of concern. The committee meets tomorrow night at Colina del Sol Park in the rec building. And there is a strong debate going over whether the use of the park at the corner of Orange and 52nd should be a dog park or if it should be a community garden. And apparently last month, there was a meeting and the vote was in support of a dog park. And the group who wants the community garden has come back and wants to have it be reheard. Apparently the cost for both is looking like it would be $75,000 because of the different things that would be needed. Water would have to be given to the garden. Fencing would be at the dog park, things like that. One of the main concerns about people who are supporting the dog park is the dog park would be for the community members. It is part of our park space. And the community garden is limited to whoever signs up and gets approved to have a plot in the garden. And then the rest of us don't get to use the area. And our areas are so limited on park area. Right now, this is technically in City Heights, which is Colina del Sol area, but it's a resource for my neighborhood, which is right across 54th Street, and we're El Cerrito. So, and we're so park deficient. So just wanted to hope that if anybody can attend and weigh in, even if you vote for the community garden, definitely, if you're interested, certainly you should go.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Richard?
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. And speaking about community gardens, and I have experience with this. Community gardens, to my understanding, if the produce is grown for the family's own personal use, then that's a community garden. If, however, they are selling it at a farmer's market or going to selling it to a restaurant or to a market, then county and state law comes in. So that's something just to keep in mind when people throw out the term community garden. Back east, you know, my grandparents, when they immigrated here, everybody had a garden in their backyard and they all shared, but they never took it to market. And so I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
That has been a problem at other community gardens. People have been growing the food and taking it to market.
All right, Danielle, did you have a non-agenda comment to make?
It's in regard to what Laura, I have a question for Laura. Where are you getting the information on the vote that we voted for a dog park? Are you reading the minutes from the meeting? The minutes haven't even been approved yet, first of all. And secondly, there was no vote for a dog park, and most of us wanted to look into both. So I would suggest you just come to the meeting tomorrow and not put out information that might not be totally accurate.
Okay, I'm sorry,
yeah,
the garden was voted down. is what I
Where are
have.
you, my question is, where are you getting this information? From the draft minutes of the meeting?
From somebody who was at the meeting.
Okay,
I
I would
was not at the meeting and I
defer to
cannot,
the minutes, please. Okay, thank you.
but they haven't been approved, you said, so.
Yeah.
Correct, but
Okay.
it's
So
hearsay.
I'm just going by what other people have said, Danielle, and I am entitled to do that. And if the minutes haven't been approved, then I can't really quote the minutes. So I'm just putting the word out. Like I said, if somebody wants to show up and advocate for the community garden, then I still think they should attend.
Either way, the meeting's
I'm not-
6:30, Colina del Sol.
Okay.
All right, thanks, everyone. Any more non-agenda comments? All right, we're going to move on to our representative reports. And first up is Roberto Marin from District 9, Councilmember Sean Elo Rivera's office. Good evening, Roberto.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Roberto Marin, Community Representative for Council President Sean Elo Rivera's office. Happy to be here. I wanted to give you a few updates. 58th and I believe Elkhorn Boulevard, as Jeffrey mentioned, to some of the El Cerrito residents are getting hawks. That's going to be turned on next Friday. I believe the ceremony is from 9 to 12. And the council president right now is slated to go, also with Jeffrey. We are really in the midst of traffic calming measures, and we're doing our best with what we have to make sure that folks have, clean and safe neighborhoods, but more importantly, pedestrian and traffic safe neighborhoods as well. So that's one of the things that Council President's working on actively. As you know, the traffic policy that we're looking into as well should be released in the next month or so. We are looking at making it easier for folks to get the changes that they want in their community. Far too often, Rolando Park's a classic example where we can't seem to get it right for the residents, right? And it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for the council president, and it's more frustrating for residents when they can't get basic traffic safety measures for their community. In terms of Streamview Drive, don't have an update on that yet in terms of when they're going to come back to staff. Our office will be working with Council District 4, with Bruce as well, to make sure we can get them back here into this meeting, and so that they could also provide an update and kind of get feedback on their proposals as well. Also, in terms of Streamview, I know it was mentioned by the mayor's office. Bruce and I are in that email. A suggestion of signs being proposed by the mayor's office to look into that. That currently is being brought to the department, and I know the mayor's office reached out to some of the residents in Redwood Village and in Oak Park to see where they could put the signs. So just stay tuned on that. Secondly, we are looking also to have the budget forum, which will be on Thursday. It will be from 6 to 8. There's going to be on Zoom. Please, if you don't have the Zoom link, or if you need to register, if any questions about that, please let me know. It's going to be about an hour and a half, and there will be Q&A with Council President. Council President will be online, and some of our staff will be there as well. Xena Canyon, as mentioned in my meeting yesterday, I'll mention it again. It's being cleaned up, a lot of brush getting removed, which is great. We have the encampments that aren't there anymore. 10 tons of trash were removed from the encampment. So there's a steady progress on that. They believe have one more week in their cleanup efforts. So we appreciate San Diego Unified for finally taking the proactive measure to clean up the canyon and make sure that folks can, breathe a little easier at night without those encampments. Lastly, I want to add is that there's going to be a cleanup this Saturday. Redwood Village Rolando Park Community Council will be having their University Avenue cleanup. It's going to be, I believe, from 8 to 9:30. Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong. You said it was on 60th, correct?
That's our meetup spot. However, there's a
Yes.
homeless encampment there right now, so.
Yeah, we're working on that for you.
We
but-
can ask them to help us.
Yeah, we're working on that right now for you guys. So yeah, 60th Street meetup, lively event. I'll be there. I'll be supporting. And so yeah, please come out. It's always a great event, socialize. So that's about it. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Alex?
Hey, Roberto, this is Alex Lucas.
Hey, Alex.
I was told that the hawk dedication would be from 10 to 11 on the 31st. You think it's from 9 to noon?
Yeah, I Jeffrey received the same email, but we can follow up in terms of that scheduling for you and making sure that's correct.
Okay,
I was told that time frame, and I think Jeffrey was told that time frame, but it might have changed. So I'll let him know, and then we can figure that out.
thanks.
All right,
Mhm.
thank you. Richard, you had a question for Roberto?
Yeah, just a comment for Roberto. Thank you for the work on moving forward with the signs. And as we discussed before, there's a need for the signs to be in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And if you look at the Get It Dones recently that I've put in, the dumping had just gotten even worse. Um, what we want to do is we want to do a education outreach to the community so they know that, you know, it's illegal to dump there. But we also want to give them an option that if you have a bunch of junk in your backyard, here's a list of approved trash haulers or junk haulers approved by the city, and just give them a call and let the residents or the landlords, you know, figure out how they can hire someone to take the junk away. So that's kind of like where we're going as a community. And, you know, we're getting to the point now where if the city is dragging their feet on it, then maybe the city just tell us how much does it cost to produce the signs? How much does it cost to install the signs? And we already know, the western section of Streamview Drive from 54th all the way to, where the, oh, I forget what it's called, those, by Michael Street. That's a heavy dumping area. And then, interesting enough, the dumping occurs east of Michael Street where you have multiple family dwellings. And the landlords are responsible for arranging with their franchise trash haulers to remove junk. So we've had comments from some residents who have caught property managers dumping right there in that area. And the property manager just said, oh, we have a contract with the city, which is totally false. So there's a lot of pieces to this. And I'm glad that you know, D9 and D4 are working towards this, but you know, it's just getting really bad. It just is. They just hauled off a boat that was dumped there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Bruce and I were aware of that. Went out there, saw the boat, couldn't believe what I just saw. So yeah, like I said, Bruce and I work hand in hand, and you know, we're really trying to make sure that folks get their needs met, right? And again, we go to the same thing that I always say to folks. Folks deserve to live in a clean and safe neighborhood. No one, it's not a dumping ground, right? Doesn't make the neighborhood proud. And you know, my aunt lives on Michael Street, so I'd see it every weekend,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So we hear you, and we're gonna keep working on that. So I know Bruce is working with our office and making sure that we can get some results for you guys. So
Okay.
thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank
Danielle,
you.
did you have a question?
Yes, for Roberto. Hi, Roberto. Do you have a quick update for us on Choyas Parkway? Are there any new issues with the encampments there?
So Trust Parkway is unique, as everyone knows. I did stumble upon the encampments are a lot better. SDG&E cut the palms, so it does look better. Obviously, we still have the trailers. PD's doing their best with enforcement. But you know, we had a interesting site I had last weekend where there was an abandoned, you know, 40-foot rig trailer. There's encampments inside the trailer. Don't know how to. I've never seen that in my life, and I don't think Officer Cummings has either. But yeah, so I know we requested outreach, but then we also requested for PD assistance just because one of two things, the outreach to make sure those folks don't stay in there. Luckily, it has been that warm, but you know, I don't want to get it to a point where it gets like 90 degrees and folks are baking in there. That's the last thing we need. And also contacting the trailer so that they can haul it away so that it's not just sitting there. So I know PD is working on that. And I know Homeless Strategies and Solutions Department is working on a coordinated outreach for that area.
Thank you, Roberto. Thanks, Danielle. All right, moving on. Mr. Williams. from District 4. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you. Greetings all. Bruce Williams from the office of Council Member Henry Foster.
Be sure and say the third every time, will you?
Good to be with you tonight. Got a few things I wanted to share with you. First of all, I just wanted to let you know about our staff. It's still hiring. So you know folks that know how to do communications.
Bruce, I'm sorry, can we ask you to come over here? And that way the people online will be sure to hear.
All
We'll
right.
set it up differently next time. But you can even sit if you'd like. We're sort of informal.
Yeah, no worries. Just wanted to share our staff. So if you have any questions that you need to direct to any particular person on our team, I just wanted to share our staff with you. Of course, the chief of staff is Henry Foster. Our chief of staff, the council member is Henry Foster. The chief of staff is Daniel Horton. He's a great guy. He comes from San Diego State grad. He's an attorney, and he came to us from the state of Colorado, Denver. Also, our policy director is Tiffany Harrison. Our scheduler is Stephanie Sanchez, and our community rep is Noah Shedrick, and you got me. Also, if you want to meet with the council member, please contact Stephanie. Stephanie is taking names and dates, and we're working to have meetings at the Live Well Center over on Market and Euclid. So it's a little closer, a little more central. So we'll be meeting with folks, probably 30-minute sessions on Fridays from say 1:30 to 4:30. And so if you need to meet with the council member, please contact Stephanie and we'll make that happen. And if it's important, we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. Just want everyone else want y'all to know that a new police chief was selected yesterday, Chief Wall. We're grateful that he had a unanimous vote. And so we're looking forward to working with him, and his start date should be right around June the 7th. Yesterday, the council supported an ordinance to have electric vehicle charging stations to be installed in public spaces in citywide. The mayor has suggested, and the council agrees with, a 10-year contract with an organization that will be able to provide charging stations all over the city. Don't have that many in the fourth, but we hope this contract will bring us more of those there. Also, if you have young folks that are looking for jobs this summer, we have a program in the city called Employ and Empower. It's an internship. We need folks to kind of come up the ranks so that we can hire them in the future. So if you know some young folks that are eligible and you need to be between 60 and 30, please contact sandiego.gov/employer-empower.
You have to be a student for that?
It doesn't say. It says normally when you hear the word internship, you would think student, but it says programs kicking off this summer, make $15 an hour or more, gain valuable job experiences working on the city's most important needs. So it doesn't say that you have to be a student. So check it out. There was something that really was terrible on March the 11th. Some person thought they could maybe capture or lure a child into their van by saying they were a police officer. Looks like PD has a composite sketch of the person, and so I can pass it around. So if you know of anybody that looks like this, you know, let PD know. Also, let's see, there are a couple of good things that are happening. We always want folks to use the Get It Done app. Please do that. Like was said earlier, we had a boat down on Streamview, and fortunately, we worked with our captain, Captain Epperson, made a call to her. She went out, her people tagged it, had to wait 72 hours. He's the captain of the boat, no. The captain, she was able to get the boat tagged, and within 3 days, they were out there and they picked it up. How people just take a boat and leave it on our streets is just crazy. But anyway, we are working with the mayor's office to try to get some solution there. And what my thought is, you guys let me know if it's not the right thing to do. But as the mayor's office is wanting to put signs up, I'm thinking, and District 9 is in agreement, is that perhaps we should get some A-frames, line them up down the median from 54th to Michael, and just put the signs up and just leave those A-frames out there until we can get those signs put up. We need something fast and in a hurry, because when folks started leaving boats, and then what happened was folks said, oh, this is a dumping ground, and other people just brought their stuff. Ridiculous. So people are upset about it, and we need to do something. So we're working with the mayor's office, and we'll do our best. So if you guys don't think that's a good idea, let me know, and we'll try something else. Officer Omar wanted me to let y'all know that there's Coffee with a Cop on May the 21st, 11 a.m. at Jones Coffee Shop. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, you're.
I did right? Okay. Good. It's spelled J-O.
awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's good. We got new business in the area, y'all. So come out and have coffee with the cop on the 21st, from 10 to 11. And that address is 1515 47th Street. Also, if you have an extra gun or firearm, don't bring it to the chocolate shop. But we're having PD is having a gun exchange for gift cards, right? And that's it's always good, for those folks that are, that want to get rid of a gun, maybe that you had a loved one that passed on or something, and you don't want that. Come to the gun exchange. You get a gift card, $100 for a handgun and rifle or shotgun, and $200 for an assault weapon. And if you don't want the cash, you can get a skateboard. Okay, not so good news here. Just a reminder that water rate adjustments are coming. You remember back last year, the council voted to break up the water rate adjustment, which is going to adjust up on July the 1st. It will go up 5.2%. So if your bill is $100 a month, it'll be $105.20 a month. Also, some good news, the Mayor May revision just came out as I was leaving today. So I have a couple of them, but a couple of good things that are coming out of the mayor's revision. And just this is to say too, that people have power, and when you call the mayor's office and you say this is a priority, they pay attention. Our office pays attention. And so Parks and Rec, the Teen Center programming in District 4, 8, and 9 will be enhanced, $758,000. Youth swimming, $421,000, and come play outside, $78,000. Let's see, libraries, youth service librarian positions, plural, $382,000. After school programs, $250,000, and library material donation match program, $300,000. No shots fired is something that's important in the port. It's a collaborative effort to provide outreach and resources to known gang members in specific communities and offer them an opportunity to exit gang life. Now, the mayor had this initially on the chopping block, and so he's put it back on, so we'll be able to do that. When it comes to the San Diego Police Department, juvenile service team will be restored $1.6 million, and the front counter staffing at the various police departments will be they'll get their $1.6 million back. So those are some of the things that the mayor put out today when it comes to the May revision. Finally, when it comes to the budget, I know I'm talking too long. I really don't talk this long most of the time, guys, but here is what are these things called?
Cure.
Thank you. 60 years old. If y'all want to take one of these and use your phone to take a survey, I have some of these, and thank you for bringing some extra ones, just in case. We were at a meeting last night and I only had one, and they didn't realize that all they had to do was pass it out. So I'll pass some of these out, and if there are any questions for me, then you brought some too.
From Jen.
Oh, thank you.
Hang on. I
Any
have
questions?
Richard had his hand up first. Richard, real quick.
Real quick, I'm trying, I mean, oh yeah, thank you so much, Lynn. Yeah, thank you, Bruce. That's very interesting. Does SCPD have a description of the van?
The van.
The van for is there, it's
Sure.
not available? Because there are a lot of vans around.
Yes. Richard, let me do some research on that,
Okay,
and I can send it to you, and you can get out to the Oak Park crowd. Okay?
okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can
Yes.
send it to me and I can
Okay.
send it out. Laura?
You talked about the no shots fired in the gang program.
Mm.
Is that through the police department or is it through some other group?
I don't believe it is. I know that we have a couple of clergy folks that are involved in that. And I believe PD does have a role, but it doesn't, the funding won't go to the department. It will go to the organization that's working to work with these.
And do you know what the
members.
organization is?
I do, and I'll have to send that to you. I can send that to you. Okay.
Thank you. And Jen?
I wondered where the the gun exchange is. For a gun.
I forgot to mention that, didn't I?
I don't know, I missed what day it was.
It's gonna be at the Jacob Center.
Right.
And it'll be on, hold on a second. Should have, a lot of this stuff is hot off the press, y'all, so haven't memorized just yet. Let's see. Okay, so it'll be Saturday, June 8th from 10 to 2 at the Jacob Center, which is at 404 Euclid Avenue. Okay, gun exchange, gift cards for skateboards. Yes.
What time is coffee with the cop? Yeah.
Yeah, Coffee with the Cop, May 21st, 10 a.m. to 11. Those are fun too.
Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Bruce? Okay. Thank you,
All right.
Bruce.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right.
Well,
Thank you. We're going to move on to our information and action items tonight. And first up is a presentation or an update from MTS. And Matt Marquez is no longer available, and Dennis Desmond graciously is stepping in at the very last minute. Thank you very much, Dennis.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Matt has unfortunately moved out of state where he can afford to buy a house. So I'm stepping in for him tonight, though, and really happy to have you all host us for an update on our Clean Transit Advancement Campus project. So we first brought this around a little while ago and wanted to just give everyone an update. So I know there's a lot of frustration in communities when they hear about a project and then don't hear anything for 10 years and all of a sudden there's bulldozers out there and nobody knows what's going on. So we want to be sure and come back to you every once in a while and just give you an update, even if there's not a lot of news to share. So I'm going to try and share my screen here. Okay, hopefully everybody can see slide presentation. So the Clean Transit Advancement Campus, I'll give you a little bit of a background just as a refresher. This is a project that will build a 6th bus division for us. We currently have 5 bus divisions spread throughout the San Diego area. We are almost at capacity at those divisions, and we have a mandate from the state to electrify our fleet. So that's going to require more space in the divisions because there's infrastructure related to that charging that needs to go into those areas where we park the buses. So that means that we're going to need a 6th division, and we also anticipate expanding service in the future once there's additional funding. And so we looked around for locations that were within the footprint of our future service expansion area. And that's how we got to this project. So this is going to be a project that services electric buses only. There will not be any fueling for gas or diesel or natural gas, any liquid fueling. It will all be electric. And the facility will be, of course, LEED certified when we build it. When it's built out and up to full capacity, it'll have up to 600 employees working there. So our board selected a site, looked at 7 different sites in the area between really mid-city and southeastern. That's really the centralized area where we're close enough to where our future growth area is going to be, which is primarily in the southern, southeastern, and mid-city areas. And out of 7 sites, they selected a site on Federal Boulevard, just on this other side of 47th Street from the eastern areas planning area. And this site is currently primarily warehousing and parking lots. And there's a map of it on the screen right now. So right now there's actually 2 portions of it. One is primarily warehouses and some distribution and a little bit of light industry. And then the other is currently a parking lot for the Coca-Cola, which, as you know, was just reconstructed. So we really based this site on a number of things. One was that we were able to route the buses away from residential communities in a lot of cases. So for example, from here to downtown, we can go down Federal Boulevard and use the Home Avenue ramps. So we don't need to go through the community to get to and from downtown. We also looked at the acquisition cost and the complexity, what's currently on those sites that we will have to relocate and pay for that relocation. And then we also, of course, had some public engagement as part of that process, which is why we were talking to you the first time. So since the board selected the site, we've been working for about the past 2 years on the environmental process. And there's really two processes. One is the state, the CEQA process that we need to go through. And the second is the NEPA, because this is a federal, it will be a federally funded project, we anticipate. So we went through the federal environmental process also. Our board of directors approved a mitigated negative declaration for the project in October of 2022. And then last summer in July, the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, which is our federal oversight agency, approved a categorical exclusion finding for the NEPA clearance. So the NEPA clearance is, the NEPA and CEQA, the environmental clearance is complete. So what we're doing right now is we're acquiring the properties. We actually have 2 of the 4 properties in our possession. If you go down Federal Boulevard, you'll see a Nob Hill Industrial Park. That is actually owned by MTS now. So, and then we have 2 more parcels, including the Coca-Cola parking lot parcel that we are working to acquire. So we're anticipating that's going to take the rest of this year and into next year to get those. In the meantime, we're applying for grants that will fund the design and the construction of the project. So what we're doing right now, we're not doing any actual facility design, but we're working with space planners, just looking what all of our needs are going to be. So how many bus maintenance bays do we need? How many parking spaces for buses do we need? How much office square footage of office space do we need? That kind of thing, so that we're when we do go out and get proposals from a designer, we have everything in a package that says exactly what they need to design for us. So we anticipate that that's going to be happening in the next year, and then hopefully we'll have a designer and a construction company probably bid together as a design build project, and they'll be on board hopefully in the 2026 timeframe, and then we'll be completing construction in the 2028-2029 timeframe. So we have a website a web page on the MTS website. It's a little bit complicated here, but you can actually just go to sdmts.com, our main website, and go to current projects, and you'll see the project there. That's easier. Although I can certainly provide this presentation so that you'll also have the link there. And then this is actually the web page is in the process of being updated right now. So I'm giving you kind of the latest and greatest information that should be on the website by the end of the week. Also, all of our documents, all of our project documents, especially all the environmental materials, are posted on there for people that are interested in looking at that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to take questions from in-person attendees first. Let's start, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan. I was curious what your community outreach was before that site was determined and what kind of mitigating you're going to do for the creek and the flooding to add more parking spaces and whatever, buses.
Sure. Yeah, in the 2020, let's see, we're in 2024 now, the 2021, 2022 timeframe before we got into the environmental, before our board made the site selection, we did a number of different presentations to groups such as this. I think we did about a dozen presentations. We had some open houses in the area, primarily at the library at Market and Euclid, and as well as some at the Euclid Transit Center. And then, of course, there was a public hearing as part of it. We accepted all kinds of written comments as well as spoken comments and email and that kind of thing. And then as part of the environmental process, there's an opportunity for people to provide feedback on that. And we did receive feedback. In fact, we received feedback from some of the community groups that we spoke to as well. And that all gets incorporated into the CEQA state environmental document. And then all of those are responded to. In terms of the mitigation, there are certain mitigations that are required. So our environmental clearance for the state is called a mitigated negative declaration, which is essentially means that there are mitigations that are required to mitigate the impacts of the project. And those are all detailed in the CEQA report. So these include such things as you mentioned, the water. So such things as all of the water on site will be trapped on site and cleaned before it's released. So nothing sheet flows into the canyon as it does in a lot of cases right now. It all has to be treated on site in a clarifier before we can dump it. There's also some traffic mitigations. We're going to add a traffic signal. There is a right turn lane, I believe, that's going to be added. So these kinds of things are all detailed in the environmental document.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Any other in-person comments? Okay, I have two online. Danielle?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned you were acquiring sites, but you didn't mention the process. And I was just wondering, are you using eminent domain or is this a voluntary sale by the property owners?
So the two parcels that we've acquired so far were voluntary. So in fact, one of the parcels is actually already for sale. So that we were able to purchase that without any issues. The other sites, it's certainly our goal to acquire them through a negotiated purchase. So eminent domain would be a last resort. That's certainly something that's available to us, but our goal would be to handle it just through a negotiated purchase.
And I had one more short question. Did you give the presentations to the City Heights Planning Group and a while back, and did they vote in the affirmative on this project?
We did give a presentation to the City Heights group because I know this area is on the south side of the creek, so it feels like it's more part of southeastern communities, but it's actually, according to the city boundaries, it's in the City Heights, the boundaries of the City Heights Planning Group. So we did go to them, and I'll have to look to see exactly how they voted on it.
Okay, could you let Lynn know that when you do find that out,
Sure.
please? Thank you
Of
very
course.
much.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Richard?
Hi, so yeah, I guess you partially answered one of my questions is that you guys, when it gets built, you're going to put in stormwater BMPs to capture and treat the water. That's okay. But then the second part is, where do you release it? And it sounds like you're going to release it right to the creek. And I have a lot of experience in seeing that does not work. You get a lot of scouring and stuff like that, sediment discharges. But I would highly recommend, and when you do your when you do the bids for the contractors, to see how they can treat the water, treat the stormwater runoff, but send it to the main MS4 pipes under Federal Boulevard instead of sending it to our very pristine and very precious creek. That area from Federal Boulevard all the way to University Avenue is you don't see too many places like that, particularly in Southeast San Diego. So that's my comment, is that MTS should really look at that. And when you do your bids for the contractors, see what contractors have actually done this kind of stuff before and have preserved creeks instead of doing a civil engineering job and just doing stormwater BMPs and then you just shoot it out to the creek anyway. That's
Thanks, Richard.
Great point, Richard. I believe, and I can confirm this, but I believe that it will be all sent to the stormwater system, not into the creek.
That would be fantastic.
Great, thank you. Oh, I'm gonna start with Kristen first, and then we'll work around this way. Kristen?
I just wanted to say thank you for coming and giving us an update. I live in the community of Webster, which is just adjacent to where this is going to be located, and was on several community calls. And at the time when our previous District 4 council member voted to approve this project, it was with the caveat that there would be a community benefit. And so I'm wondering if you can expound on what community benefit Webster and City Heights will both receive for having this in our area.
Sure, I think there's a number of things, and I'll just start with the parcel that we're looking at that's currently a parking lot for Coca-Cola. That's eventually going to have a number of different things on it. One is going to be there's going to be some on-site parking for employees, but there's also going to be a facility that's going to be largely used for training and possibly a daycare. That training facility would include classrooms and things like that, where we can train people on how to maintain electric vehicles, new technologies. And one of our concepts is that we're going to involve the local area schools in that. So that was something that really came out of the outreach that we did initially, was that community members wanted to see schools like Lincoln High School, and where we could have programs that would bring people in and even have internships and that kind of thing. So this is a facility where we will be able to do some of that. There are going to be, as I mentioned, up to 600 people working on site. So those will, of course, be jobs that will be convenient to people. Again, we're going to attempt to have a daycare on the site so that working people with families that have difficulties finding childcare and thus have challenges getting to work will have facilities and resources here for that. One of the things that was a requirement of the council member when she approved it is that she did want to see some type of policy, and this has yet to be drafted because we're a few years out before we open it, but as we get close to opening, some type of policy or procedures on how we can employ local residents at the site, whether that's some kind of a preference system, and maybe we can do that, maybe we can't, I'm not sure, but something where we at least make it easy for people to come and work for us. So for example, doing interviews on site, so that people in the local community don't have to come downtown like they do now, but they can go locally to apply for a job, to get information about the job, do their training and that kind of thing at a location that's closer to home. So these are some of the things that we hope to do. We'll have that a little bit more fleshed out as we get closer to opening. But these are the things that were both requests from the council member as well as things that we heard from the community as we went through the initial planning process.
Great. Thank you, Dennis.
Just-
Let me circle
Sure,
around
thank you.
everybody else. We'll come back. Laura?
What kind of jobs will you have? You mentioned 600 jobs. What would all those positions be?
It's a very wide range of jobs, everything from division managers, maintenance managers, trainers, obviously drivers. We'll have administrative staff, information technology, janitorial, facility maintenance, obviously vehicle maintenance, that kind of thing. So it really runs the gamut. Our largest division right now is in the South Bay Division. That one currently has about 600 employees, and it has all of those things, everything from human resources to information technology to the actual operations with drivers and dispatchers and clerks and radio people and everything. So a large division like this is actually it's almost a city of its own. We've got everything there. So those 600 employees will really be a wide range of opportunities available to people.
Great, thank you. Not yet, Jen. Sorry. You had one last question, Christian, and
I did have
and then-
one follow-up question. 600 jobs is amazing, and I'm just wondering what the procedure or thought process is for where all of those people are going to park, if that's something that you've taken into account. If you've been down Federal Boulevard, there is not a lot of parking on the street. We're trying to have it be a safe area for pedestrians and bikers. So what is going to happen with the 600 people that need a place to park?
So we will have parking on site. So that's part of the purpose of the Coca-Cola property. And it may be that when we build out some of those other facilities like the training classrooms and the daycare and that kind of thing, that we actually do maybe 2 levels of parking. There will also be some parking in the larger lower parcel, especially during the day. Now we'll have 600 positions there, but not all 600 people are going to be there at the same time. So there's also parking actually, and we do this now during the day when a lot of the buses are out, or most of the buses are out driving around town. The administrative employees and that kind of thing actually park where the buses park. So we sort of double up there. At night, when most of the buses are back in, we can't do that, but that's when you have a lower level of employees. You've got primarily maintenance staff doing swing shift maintenance work on the vehicles. So, but we do intend to have sufficient parking on site to be able to handle it. And one of the reasons for that is if we currently have a division downtown San Diego that has no or almost no on-site parking. And it's really, really challenging for the drivers because drivers, it'd be great if they could take transit, but when you're the bus driver, then you've actually got to be there first to pick up the bus. So a lot of them report to work at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of them work until 2 or 2:30 in the morning. So we do have to unfortunately have parking for them, but we plan to have sufficient parking on site for all of these employees.
Thank you. Jen, one last question real quick.
Thanks, Lynn. Did you do a traffic impact study on Federal Boulevard? I mean, assuming there are 400 cars on that road, that adds 400 cars up and down Federal, which is a 2-lane, one east-west street that isn't really prepared for an extra 300, 500, 600 cars.
Yes, there was some traffic study done. It's interesting because traffic impacts are no longer studied under the California CEQA anymore. So, but they are still required under the NEPA, the national. And again, we are proposing to use federal funds for this. So we did need to complete the NEPA process. So that did include a traffic study that is within the documents that are online if you're interested in looking at that. But it did find that there was sufficient capacity with a couple of mitigation measures to handle it. One of those, again, with some improvements at the intersection of Federal and 47th, and then also a traffic signal where our buses come out. We also plan to implement whatever the city has planned for the street frontage in terms of active transportation, bicycle lanes and that kind of thing. Whatever the city has in its plan for that, that would be part of our implementation of this as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, that wraps up this information item. Dennis, thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. Feel free to drop us a line if you have any other questions.
Sure. Is this presentation, is that something you could share that I can post for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also going to put this actually on our website, but I'd love to go ahead and send it to you so you can all send it out as well.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you again. Really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you all. Good night.
Thanks. All right, our next information item. Wanted to do just a quick debrief on our community outreach at the Rolando Street Fair. Because Bob's not here. Bob, Bettina and I each did 2-hour shifts there. And frankly, we learned a little bit. Number one, QR codes and an online phone survey just didn't work.
Oh.
We got very few responses. Got a lot of verbal responses from Rolando residents who want to know when the city's going to fix their streets. And we've been hearing that here at these meetings since for the last, as long as I've been on the board. Seminole's been a problem, I think. So that didn't work so well, but in terms of just outreach and talking with people, I saw a lot of people from Rolando Park there, from other groups that I'm in, and people were just there to have a good time. The things that I saw that worked really well, I did go down to the city mid-city plan update booth and look at what they were doing. And they just had a ginormous map of the mid-city and yellow stickies. And they did your vision in one word kind of thing, but they did have, I think, about 60 to 80 people stop by and put their sticky on there, including Danielle, you'll appreciate this, disc golf at Choyas Lake. Somebody made a pitch for that a couple of years ago. So that seemed to work really well, just to keep it very simple. We shared a booth with Rolando Community Council. They also did something very simple. They had a big map of the Rolando Village, and people put stars on their houses. They let their kids put stars on. So keeping it a little simpler next time is probably the best way to go. Asking people to spend 5 minutes going down our list of infrastructure just didn't work. So we'll simplify that next time. Maybe we'll color code stars or something. I don't know. And Doug Lister, who's the president of the Rolando Community Council, said next year he will give us our own booth. We will not share a booth. So in terms of visibility, I think that would be a good thing to do. But overall, it was fun. I had a great time just talking with people, aside from all the street issues. Tina?
Yeah, I had a good time too. It was fun to engage. I think the outreach is definitely worth it. It's worth our time. The people who are aware of it were interested. We just need to do something that's low or no technology. Like maybe we could do little cards and people can just check mark, you know, the selections for priorities instead of the QR code. But yeah, it was great. It was fun. And a lot of people there are really community minded. So,
yeah,
so I think it's worth it.
Definitely do it again.
The mid-city plan and the stickies that were used to collect information, did they say how that was going to be aggregated and brought back to the community?
No.
Or is it just like we collected stickies?
I will share a little bit. I have another couple of minute report on the community plan update at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. They were very nice people. I talked to the guy there. He bought his kid with him and spent the day at the booth. Anyway, it was a good learning experience. We'll do it again next year for sure, but a little more simple. Or I won't be doing it next year, someone else will.
Actually,
We'll see.
Doug had his table full of candy, so he was getting a lot of people. So maybe we might want to have some incentives too.
Yeah, that's a good.
Or
that's a good one.
we could
Candy,
also use
snacks.
part of our $500 budget and buy a television because he raffled off a
Yes.
55-inch television. Yeah.
That
His
also.
booth had nonstop
We
traffic.
probably
so,
got more people coming because we were next to him,
Yeah,
but it worked.
it was good. Okay, on to our action item tonight, and we really want to talk about if we want to draft a letter to send to city council and the mayor requesting actions on short-term rentals, and this would be based on the presentation that we had last month from Rami. Did I send a link so everybody could see the PowerPoint that she presented? And also a draft of a letter. Normal Heights sent a letter after her presentation back in February. Did people take a look at that? I know that El Cerrito Community Council has already sent a letter out, or you have one drafted. It's going out, or you've already sent it. Sent it already. Very similar. So I think that we want to talk about it and send a letter ourselves. But
Have any of you talked to your communities about it? Because there was mention that maybe you guys would be taking it back to your communities.
no, not per se. I mean, Rolando Park has 15 short-term rentals. We're not seeing a lot of it. I mean, you know, most of the rentals are in the beach area. I think we did look because I downloaded the file. I think Rami had the wrong file. Hers had more City Heights in it than it did Eastern area. I think there are 26 short-term rentals in Redwood Village.
Yeah, there aren't any compared to what's on the beaches, you're right.
No, the two issues that I see immediately is that everyone is supposed to have signage identifying that it's a short-term rental. And if you drive around, you're not going to see signage anywhere. That's a violation. Another one that I have is I have an ADU on my street that was converted just last year. And the first thing they did was get a short-term rental license for it, which is also not supposed to be allowed because any ADU built after 2017 is not supposed to be a short-term rental. It was reported and it's still sitting in code enforcement almost a year later. So the city isn't moving on that. And I think to Rami's point about, I think it sends, I don't know about the message that you're sending to a city when you're not taking advantage of or not using short-term rentals for housing right now when we're in the middle of a housing shortage. I just think I don't know, it's a bad message.
Yeah, I actually support that portion of her letter very much because the properties weren't built to be anything except housing. That's what they were built for. Even the ADUs that we're having all built up now are supposed to be for housing for people in our communities that need it. So I completely see getting more of the housing stock back just in an easy way by that change. And especially when it's being so abused by one or two people. I mean, one guy has 600 places. I think that was the number, right? 600, in excess of 600. He has a huge number.
It was some huge number. Yeah.
And so he's somehow, they thought they had some good controls in place, but obviously not, because he's gamed the system so well. So
are there any points that we don't think we would want to include that Rami suggested in our letter?
I don't agree with the one where we have to be a California state resident to own a property to rent. For one, I don't think that that's something that we can do on a city level. Our city doesn't have jurisdiction over that kind of control. I don't know if the state even does. I do think that at the national level, and some nations are doing it, when we had our discussion, Alex even mentioned Australia and who else? some other countries that are,
In the,
Italy or some other countries are pulling back on ownership of property within their country.
Mhm.
And I know there's been talk about it in the US, but not strong, but I think that is a national requirement. I don't know that it can be taken down to state level based on our constitution and stuff, and I just don't see that section being in it personally.
I agree with that. I think that, you know, regardless of my feelings about it, it does seem kind of like a little overstep. It's like, we shouldn't allow people who aren't US citizens to own it. It's just like,
Well,
You know,
Chico goes to California citizens.
Yeah.
She said if
Yeah.
you don't live here, like if you decide to leave town and go live in Idaho part of the year and live in San Diego part of the year, and you claim residency in Idaho, you can't own your property here. That's what technically would be happening.
it does seems, it seems hard to ask for that, knowing that there's no way that that's, you know, like there's no
Yeah.
way that's.
We took it out of our letter,
we did, yeah.
Did you? Yeah,
but
Alex?
Alex had some good additions.
Yeah, just a quick thing. Currently states can do it. Florida has not restricted Chinese citizens from owning homes. Has that become problems in Florida? People who are there on visas and stuff, they can no longer buy a home, and a lot of them are gonna leave the state because they can't afford it. They're not allowed to buy
Yeah.
anything. And that just started about a month ago under DeSantis, and I'm not sure we want to follow his lead particularly, but yeah, what we did in our letter, I sent a copy to Lynn, after I saw the agenda. We had the same first part, which is about, putting 8,000 units back on the market, right? Being the process to work correctly. We did have, and then about enforcement of tier 2 licenses. We did put in something though that's similar, I think, to what Normal Heights had, which we called it an inflation penalty, or they call it some other kind of penalty tax if you flip a lot of homes. We said something along the lines of, if you sell more than 2 homes in 2 years, you're probably not someone who lives in a home. You're probably flipping them, right?
Yeah.
And then they actually had some good examples about how that tax might apply, right, on the profit that you make. So that's something we included. And then there's 2 things we had at the very end that I found that the California legislature is working on. One's AB 2584 and the other is SB 1212. And the first one is single family residential real property corporate entity ownership. So this gets into corporations like BlackRock coming in and buying up, 3,000 properties and then picking out the residents and jacking up the rent. Anyway, it just says current law. This bill will prohibit a business entity that has an interest in more than 1,000 single-family residential properties, so it's a major landlord, from purchasing, acquiring, or otherwise obtaining an interest in another single-family residential property and subsequently leasing the property. And the bill would allow the attorney general or city attorney to bring a civil action, yada, yada, yada. So that's a bill that's working its way through the Sacramento legislature. And we suggested to the whole city council and mayor, why don't you think about something like that for San Diego? So that's one. And then the other one was investment entities purchasing and acquisition interest in housing. Let's see, would on or after January 1st, 2025, prohibit an investment entity as defined somewhere from purchasing or acquiring an interest as defined in a single family dwelling or other dwelling that consists of 1 or 2 residential units within this state. And then it just goes on. So basically, it's again looking at particularly Wall Street investors who go in and buy a property strictly for investment and then make it very difficult to have affordable housing. So those are 2 things. And what we did was simply put in the bill language and send it off and say, here's something to think about, because you guys are pretty bright, you write bills, but here's a model. And, so we gave them the references. So that was our letter pretty much. It was about a page and a half.
Okay.
And that would be my concern with out-of-state ownership. It's more that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than a
That's
single
where we ended up. 'Cause we had
owner.
a long discussion in our
But the-
meeting.
Yeah,
And we went, okay, so we're not gonna say, you know, people who not California residents per se can't own a home here.
but they can't
But-
buy up all the homes.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's really the problem. But the problem isn't 2 or 3 people even buying a few things. It's these larger entities who do it for investment
Right.
purposes and often hold things literally off the market
Yes,
until they go, okay, now.
and
I'm
they've
gonna
been
rent
doing it
for a lot more,
nationwide.
Or
Yeah.
sell it.
Yeah.
And well, Ramey had some good instances of people, you know, profit like $200,000 in like 2 months. It's like, you know, that's.
Yeah.
It's pretty excessive, but anyway, if you want, I mean, you have a copy of my letter, the letter. we
I'll
wrote.
send it, I will share
You
it,
can
yeah.
send it around and people can look at it more carefully and then, you know, I'm happy to
Mhm.
draft something if we decide to follow something like that.
So I think the question is, do we want to move ahead with drafting and then we'll, as it'll be an action item next month, to approve it and we'll send it out. So would someone like to make a motion? I'll make. Second,
Second.
Andy. And, so what is the motion?
Question is, would we like to draft a letter opposing, help me out,
SROs.
SROs,
Okay,
short-term rentals?
STRs.
SDR.
That's all,
Yeah.
is it standard room only or single?
Oh,
Yeah, that's,
Sorry,
Yes.
I don't know.
help me out here, son.
STR, there's too many initials.
Happy to write.
Too many acronyms to- All right,
Yes.
all right, and seconded by Andy.
What's that motion again? Could you?
All right, roll call vote. Steve, did you have a comment? We're taking a vote here. You're muted.
You're muted, Steve.
You're muted, Steve. Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Looks important.
Steve, we can't hear you.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Don't you have a discussion after it? But doesn't make any difference. Just quickly, who does the letter go to, please?
We'll go to the mayor's office and our city council representatives.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks,
no, in
Steve.
fact, El Cerrito, we sent it to all 9 city council members
Yes,
and the mayor.
and we will do
We
the
just
same as a
decided-
planning group. That's how we would send it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Lynn, could you read the motion again? I just want to hear it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it again.
A motion to draft a letter to the mayor and city council to oppose the use of short-term or I don't know how to word it. I know what I'm thinking, but I don't know how to word it. Sorry. If anyone can help.
Yeah, short-term rental and
Yeah.
perhaps, you know.
I said it wrong, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Short-term
And, and perhaps corporate, you know, corporate owner or corporate, corporate ownership. Leave it as vague as that.
And consideration of some bills that are under consideration in Sacramento.
Yes, to use the short-term rentals as permanent rentals rather than
Sure.
continuing to
Okay,
accumulate short-term rentals that, right, make housing less available for us.
all right. That clear?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's sign a Laura. As long as it doesn't mention me, I'm good.
Right, seconded by Andy, John,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Laura.
Yeah.
All right, passes unanimously. Alex has volunteered to write the letter.
We'll amend the motion.
Amend the motion to.
Amended for the motion.
I think you've already done most of the work, so it would be pretty straightforward to craft one from the group.
And redraft it somewhat.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so that'll be an action item next month.
Okay, that's right.
All right, thank you very much. So on to some housekeeping things, treasurer's report.
I'm happy to report that nothing has changed. I'm happy to report.
We still have $75 in an account. that we need to extract. I'm going to throw some money in the pot to accompany that so that we can get a check to Teen Challenge, but
Oh, yeah, just a check to Teen Challenge. right?
yeah, I'll ask Mike. I think last time we asked him about it, they wanted gift cards, but I'll see, but yeah, a check. All right, so you and I maybe will get together before the next meeting, so.
I thought of you today because I was out at the bank.
Yeah, all right, we'll go back to the same branch. We set this one up at and see if we can finalize this and get some
Yeah.
closure on it, okay? Thanks. Minutes, could I have a motion to move those to next month?
So
I totally vegged. I'm so sorry.
Okay, second, Andy, second. Andy, thank you. All right. We'll move the minutes to next month because they're not ready this month.
Table it.
We'll table it. I guess I need to ask for a roll call vote on it, right? John,
Yes.
Alex, Andy,
Yeah.
Bettina,
Yes.
Jennifer, Kristen,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
All right, minutes will be, April minutes are moved to June. Thank you very much. Next, the election subcommittee, that would be Kristen and Jennifer. A couple minutes here.
So,
To tell us,
sorry.
give us an update.
Yes, we have reached out to everyone. I sent out an email to all of you asking if anyone knew of anybody else who was interested in running and had met the meeting requirements. We've received applications from several people. And I think that Lynn, you're going to send out the information so that everybody can review their written statements as to why they would like to be reelected or newly elected. And we will be voting next month.
Be voting next month. We do have two candidates here.
Yes,
And
they're
I'd
here
like
this evening.
them to introduce themselves. And we'll start with Sonia. Please tell us where you're from. Yeah.
Rondo Park. And I am the co-president. My goal is to.
Could you please come to the microphone?
Oh, will do.
Yeah,
Start over.
Separate.
Sonia Lang, I'm from Rolando Park. I am co-president of the Rolando Park Community Council. So my interest is to be part of the EACPC. I've been a part of Rolando Park Community Council for how many years now?
9.
Many years. So I've have a lull in work, so I figured I'd expand and get involved with so many things going on. This
Good.
might go there.
All right. Good. I was add to that Sonia was the VP for a year. When we first started, we became co-presidents a year later. And years later, we're still doing it. You were involved with the original University Avenue Improvement Group. That sadly is now defunct, but always trying to make improvements in our community. Thank you.
I think Sonia would be a amazing asset to this
Yeah.
group, so.
Oh, thank you. And Jen.
Hi, y'all. Jen Eastman. Oh,
Come
I
on
figured
down.
Danielle can hear me. I'm not as quiet as Sonia. How about that, Danielle?
That'll work.
Hi, y'all. I'm Jen Eastman. I have lived in Webster since 2003. I recently got active in advocating for our neighborhood and would love to be a part of this group because people listen to y'all. Like, so not every group everybody listens to, but there's a lot of weight in here. Mr. Williams is nodding, he knows. So if you decide that I'm not the right candidate for you, I understand that, but also I'm going to keep coming.
I
I
think that
appreciate
works.
And I don't love what I wrote, so I might have to rewrite it.
No, I don't have it with me.
Okay, can I rewrite it?
Yeah,
Is it not too late?
it's not too late.
Okay,
No.
excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
See
I
ya.
thank you.
All right, thank you. We will, once we finalize these and the candidates approve them, I'm gonna put them up on our website. I'll just put a new tab up there and link it, and then I will let everyone know who's on community councils so that you will share the information. Let's get it out in our community. So hopefully we have more than 12 voters in June for this. All right. Steve, did you have a question?
Sure. When is the deadline to apply?
This would have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to have attended 2 meetings, which I think you have. I would have to go back and look at the
That's correct.
attendance.
Yes, I have.
So, and you would be running for what position?
Webster representative.
Or at large, if there's at large seat.
Yeah. Would have to be an at-large. Yeah.
What?
If you wanted to run, you would have to get your candidate form in the next week.
Sure, I can do that.
All right. You need to, I believe Kristen or Jennifer has your email address. I'll make sure that you get it. Get your candidate profile form in so that you can be on the ballot. I mean, you are welcome to try and be a write-in candidate, but
Yeah, I want to be on the ballot.
all right. Very good. All right. Yep.
Do you want to hear from me?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you spoke. Is there another time? If there's a different time?
No, this is it tonight because next meeting, we're electing a new board.
Yeah, I
board
understand.
members.
Yeah. Okay, and that's what I'd like to run for. So I've been on this council, on this committee, years and years and years ago. I'm a pretty frank person. I've done some land use planning in my life. I worked for the city actually in the land use planning department. I'm a member of the Webster Community Council. In fact, I'm the president of it, but that's going away. And so I successfully, probably for the first time ever, appeal the decision of a planning group. And in fact, it was your planning group that I appealed to the planning commission and then to the city council. And it was about a cell tower, and we very properly got smashed by the city council. 9-0. They voted against us not having we didn't want the cell tower because it's a regional cell tower over in the corner of Webster. And so anyway, well, I got a handful of people to go down there, and I had a handful of people to write stuff against, and we attacked them on environmental stuff. We attacked them on, the regionality of it, that's such a word. And anyway, we lost properly. I mean, 9-0. Anyway, I'm interested in that. I'm very interested in the community. I'm especially interested in Webster, and although my frankness may have, I know there's 2 people at least on your board now that will remember my frankness and didn't care for it, and so I think I've got control of that now. Anyway, I'd welcome your vote, and I will get my application in, but I got to figure out how to get it.
Okay, I'll make sure that your email address goes to Jennifer and Kristen. They will send you the meet the candidate form, which you can complete, and we'll get you on the ballot for next month.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Sorry, the chat doesn't work.
No, that's turned off intentionally. It's can't do both.
Thanks.
I can barely keep track of the people online versus the people over here. So chat's too hard. Thank you. Not transparent either. All right. Thanks. So does that wrap it up then? Thanks, Jen and Sonia, for speaking up.
Thank you.
I'd like to know a little bit about you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Well, what about Bettina?
No, she's already on the board.
Oh, I didn't know if we had to say.
No. Just to be clear that Bettina is going to run for the Redwood Village open position. So there will be a member at large position open. Unfortunately, because of the rule, which will go into effect next month, I believe, Can't have married people on the board. Stop.
You can't have any married people on the board?
You can't have any people at the same address.
Same address. Yeah.
There's probably a lot of problems here, then a lot of people are married.
Not married.
Not to each other.
They only have same.
Sorry to say.
I think it's only finally.
So,
Yeah.
Alex narrowed that down. The APCO rule is any people who live at the same parcel number, so they don't even have to be related.
right, just
Occupy the same house.
same taxpayer record, I believe is what it is, yeah. Okay, in the interest maybe of finishing by 9 tonight, community updates. Please just raise your hand if you have an update to share about your community. Alex?
Sorry, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna have our Council Community Council meeting in 2 days on Thursday. And the Path Village El Cerrito, I've been in contact with Megan Colvard, who's their rep. She thinks construction will be done a week from Friday, May 24th. It should be finished, at least phase 1. We've asked for a community walkthrough. She's agreed to that. And so if people are interested, I can let Lynn know when there's going to be a community walkthrough before residents show up. Right? Because they're going to start renting out sometime in June.
Yeah,
And so
definitely.
the community was interested in kind of taking a look at what it is inside. So that's going to happen. She's going to be there Thursday to talk about that. We're also finalizing our community advisory committee, neighborhood advisory committee. That's going to be residents around the building who will then advise PATH on what's going on with the building and the neighborhood. So we got that settled with her, and it's going to be members of the El Cerrito Community Council and some of the community. Third thing we're going to talk about Thursday is the possibility of people. There's been interest expressed in starting neighborhood watches around the area up there, so we'll talk about that. I think Josh, you just, well, there he is. I thought he just left, you know. He's gonna give a presentation, I think, on how to start doing groups and so that's kind of the things happening with us.
And we have the Hawks on the 31st.
Well, that came earlier, yeah, so there'll be the Hawk on the 31st.
That's great. Okay. Anyone else? I'll just quickly say, I did send out an email and ask to share. We're doing some restaurant fundraisers. There's one tonight at Woodstocks. There's one tomorrow night at Rubio's. Next Tuesday, we have one at Wayway, and Wednesday at Corbin's Barbecue. Corbin's Q, excuse me, let me get it right. And this money is being used for our flood victims in Rolando Park. And in case anyone doesn't know, the Village Green Apartments were flooded in January. We have 57 families, about 200 people who are still displaced. They hope to have them moved back in at the end of May or June. Still don't know.
Probably June.
Yeah.
Just the way they.
And they lost pretty much everything. So we're trying to buy some household items for them and then figure out how else we can help them once they're ready to move back in.
And all we have to do is mention Rolando to get the.
Rolando Park Community Council. Those are the 4 magic words right there. Yes, thanks. Richard, did you have a comment?
Oh, my hand's up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, at 12:15 today, I was the #1 customer at Woodstocks. And I showed him my cell phone with the flyer that you sent out, and they jumped on it right away.
Oh, good, great.
So, yeah, so I don't like Rubio's that much, but I'm gonna try out that Asian restaurant. Where is that Asian restaurant anyway?
It's in Rolando Plaza. It's between Rolando and Aragon on University Avenue.
Oh, okay.
O'Reilly's is for the car parts.
Yeah.
Planet Fitness.
O'Reilly's and Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
Oh, did they ever put?
Stay open.
Did the county put in that drug rehab place in there, or
it's opening this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's on the other side. It's the drug rehab's on the other side of.
No, it'd be literally 5 doors down.
Oh, shoot. I didn't know that. I thought it was the other side.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, if you were a business owner, right, you would, yeah. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks, Richard. Bob's not here tonight, so real quick, just about the tree canopy. Once again, I did email a lot of people. And a lot of people sent in written comments, much appreciated. I did hear some people speak at the budget hearings. I heard Kristen, Jen, Kara Camden from Rolando, and I spoke online. Some people didn't get to speak because of the time shortage, but a lot of written comments submitted. We won't know anything for a while. So again, but thanks everyone. It just seems silly to put in a bikeway and not a planned landscaping plan that included a tree canopy on what's an urban heat island, which is University Avenue. But such is the city of San Diego. Danielle, Parks and Recreation.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with the good news. I got
Okay.
reappointed for a 2-year term for the Park and Rec
Yay,
Board.
thank you.
So if Berto's still here, please tell your boss, thank you. I was able to speak with Sean Elo Rivera at an event at Dennis V. Allen Park, which is at the southern end of District 9, for an Earth Fair event a few Saturdays ago. And the mayor reappointed some of us and then appointed 3 new people, a landscape architect and 2 doctors. So I'm going to have to up my game now for the next 2 years. I can't pull the rookie card anymore. One of the things that was put back into the May revised budget that I was very happy to see, besides the teen center hours, was all the Wi-Fi that was in all the rec centers, 59 rec centers throughout the city. The first 3 years were paid for by the Parks Foundation, and it was supposed to transfer over to Parks Department. City was supposed to start paying for it, and that was on the chopping block, but it has gotten restored. So children will be able to go to rec centers and do their homework there too, besides the libraries. So that was an important add back to all of the park and rec budget. And if you haven't followed the news lately, Clay Elementary is officially been renamed. I think the temporary sign is going to be going up. It's not going to be Henry Clay anymore. It's going to be named after a lady who was on the San Diego School Board way back, and I think she was also president, and she was one of the first African-American ladies on the school board. So they came up with a compromise name, because what the school board wanted to name it, the neighborhood was not happy with. And what the neighborhood wanted, the school board wasn't happy with, whatever. But they came up with a compromise. It took them 2 years. So that means that very possibly Clay Park will be renamed also to match with what is going to be on the school. And that's 900-20 is an official number of how to rename a park. It's different than naming a park. So that will be coming down the pipe soon. I do know that it will be about a year before the city will be ready to start scraping Choice Parkway to make Choice Triangle Park, because of all of the street vacations and possibly moving of utilities and things like that. So I got a tentative timeline out of Assistant Park and Rec Director Tom Tomlinson. He said it'll take about a year to get through all of that. The money's there. Now we have to work on the actual physical process of it. Tomorrow's Kalina meeting. Laura, I did check tomorrow's agenda. The topic you were talking about is listed as a workshop item again. There are no action items tomorrow. And I checked the minutes of March, and it was a workshop item then, and there were no action items taken last month either. So I'm not sure where your source was getting that the vote was taken. So please, if you want to talk about possibly doing a joint dog park community garden, that's kind of like what we did when the library was going to go from 54th Street over into the park. We wanted a joint building, and eventually the rec center over at the North Choice area will be built. But I think it's better to have both, ask for both things, and then and then work towards that goal instead of splitting the neighborhood and saying half the neighborhood wants dog park, half the neighborhood wants community garden. Let's just have both. So there was also a possibility, the area manager was supposed to go over to talk to the golf course to see if the golf course wanted to expand their fencing northward to encompass the troubled area, but we haven't heard. Hopefully Dave will have an update on if he was able to talk to Pro Kids Golf and what they said about that proposal also. I think that's it for me. So if you have any questions, tomorrow's meeting at Kalina, and in a couple Tuesdays, we'll be having a special meeting for a Juneteenth celebration that will be coming to Choice Lake, coming up in June.
Right.
So,
I think
yeah.
Laura had a question for you, Danielle.
Okay, oh, one more thing. Play Day at the Lake is June the 8th. I'm not sure if our meeting is for Eastern areas after that. It's morning early, will be a fishing derby for all the children, free fishing poles, lunch, and then lots of activities for the afternoon. So Play Day at the Lake on June the 8th. And Little League is wrapping up, and then I'll take questions. That was it. Thanks.
Okay, I have the flyer I got a revised flyer from Lauren, so I will send that out to everyone to share about the Play Day at the Lake. Okay, and Laura had a question for you.
Danielle, one of the reasons everybody's got so much interest in that strip along Orange and 52nd is because there's been homeless camping out there. And
well, not
it's
just homeless, it's just a group of gentlemen that like to bring their chairs, and even though we took the picnic bench away, they're still bringing their furniture in and hanging out there all day long and not terrorizing the neighbors to the north, but they've been a constant issue for the last several years. I do know of one lady that came to our recreation group and asked and tried to get some help from the police, and she eventually ended up moving out. So it's an issue that the police know about. Officer Josh, if he's there, might want to shed some more light on what he's noticed in the last few months that he's been our new CRO. But it is an issue with that group. And they're not homeless. They just come sit in the park all day long, and then they go home at some point.
Let's well, Josh will be at the meeting tomorrow night, and that'd be a good place to have a conversation about it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Danielle.
Okay.
Yeah, Laura, the CPC April meeting.
okay. At the April meeting, we were given a presentation on Blueprint San Diego, and we knew that it was coming up. And so a subcommittee who has reviewed Blueprint San Diego in great detail starting last year, and had some suggestions for some changes in August and September, but then tabled it with all the other things that the city brought up for
Just are waiting.
So we were given the subcommittee have worked hard on changes we would like to see to the blueprint. That the city has good goals, but then some of the things they were saying in the body of the document didn't seem to be trying to achieve those goals, and we thought some of them weren't really to the benefit of the city. So we came up with a big long list, and we presented that afterwards. And the CPC voted to approve our summary of the review and our suggestions. And in general, I just want to go over really quick some of the suggestions. Also, Blueprint San Diego is going to the Planning Commission on May 30th. And if you looked at all their timeline, they kept saying summer of 2024, and May 30th really isn't summer. We specifically requested that they postpone it a month yesterday when we had a meeting with the city planning department. And they said, no, they weren't going to do that. We're still seeing that could be a possibility, but it doesn't look like it. Some of our recommendations to the blueprint as it's currently written is that one, we would like to see them work with the latest population forecasts. Right now, they have got forecasts so high for housing requirements and housing to be built, and the numbers are so high. And they not only do they want to approve the Blueprint San Diego on the 30th, they want to approve the Uptown plan, community plan update, and they want to approve the university plan update. University is the one up by UCSD area. And we feel like all three of them lumped together means the meeting is probably going to be a 10-hour meeting. There's going to be so many people wanting to talk and say things. Which is part of the reason we wanted something extended. We want to see about getting more emphasis on the realization that the mass transit is really not going to take care of how the people in the city move. We right now have great infrastructure for freeways and for roads, and to create infrastructure for fixed infrastructure for mass transit, it costs so much money. And cars are getting smarter, cars are getting less polluting. So we think that with the way energy is going, and how cars can even talk to each other, that mobility on the infrastructure we have would be preferable to the fixed infrastructure. We even recommend bus routes rather than fixed rapid transit. And part of the reasoning for that is that 87% of the people use cars, and like less than 2% of the people use mass transit as of today. And so to try and think that in 25 years, that's going to flip dramatically. And also, if you can use your own car, you can go from point A to point B and be at the starting and ending spots, rather than trying to figure out how to get from the transit location, how to get to the transit location, and how to get from the transit location from your point of origin and where you need to go. And so they always have this, oh, well, the last mile loop or something. Well, the last mile loop is huge consideration too. So we recommend that they start realizing that we're probably going to be driving cars still. We also wanted to get a concentration of development along major transit lines, but also realize that major transit lines doesn't necessarily just mean a bus. And if you are going to concentrate things on the transit corridor, you also want to have some good planning urban design, which means you don't go up 10, 20 stories high and then with no parking and force all the cars to park on all the streets around, because you can't even build the next building until all those cars have a place to park. The plan as it is creates a lot of problems. We wanted economic prosperity to include ensuring that we have inclusionary housing in the economic and job location areas, which used to be part of the old plan. They've kind of tossed it in the new plan. And we feel like, these locations have opportunities, just like the one we're talking about today, all sorts of economic levels for income. And so you're going to have all the way from your janitor to your CEO in a building. And they should try and have more opportunities for housing in the current job location areas. That's UTC, that's Sorrento Mesa, that's Rancho Bernardo, that's Kearney Mesa. Those are all really high employment areas. So we'd like to see inclusionary housing required, not just suggested and not being able to be offset somewhere else. We also want to see housing in the areas south of 8 to be moderate and market rate, much more emphasis on that. And we want to see employment centers go in much more, because there's a huge problem with people south of 8, not necessarily our area, maybe south of 94, being nothing but low income. Their stores are leaving. They don't have an opportunity to go and get groceries or pharmaceuticals or anything close by. They're having to travel for all those things. And if we could bring the income levels up with market rate housing and with employment opportunities, then we can get the income for the areas to be more balanced in the city. And that is one of the economic balances that's required in the city plan. So we recommend that. We also want to have, the new plan doesn't even have half the park points that the park point system requires. And the park point system is only a few years old and they're already in the current blueprint, they're gonna fail by half. So we really want emphasis put on parks and recreation and money going towards those as much as possible.
Do you have a summary of this, Laura, that you could send out to the board? 'Cause
Yes,
I
we've
think
got
that'd
some
be
bullet points.
more
We-
helpful.
We had a 4-page summary and now we have some bullet points, so I'll send about, like I said, it's a 92-page document, but those are the top things. I mean, I really.
I think it's the executive summary that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the, we had a 45-minute meeting with the city staff yesterday, and they said that they want us to concentrate on making policy revisions, not make planning revisions.
Oh.
I know, and everybody said, just like Glenn did, huh? So we don't know that we're gonna be able to do that, but I recommend that everybody, I'll get I think, you might not have the bullet points yet.
No, I don't.
You might
Yeah.
have, so I'll send the 2-page bullet points one. Would really behoove everybody to make comments by the 23rd so that the information can get up to the planning commissioners during their weekend before their meeting. If you can't make that, then by all means do it online in the comments section before the meeting. And if you can, go to the meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Because our area really, they keep saying they want to they use what they call a propensity map, which has all these dark areas where people currently live, and they want to talk about upzoning those. We're one of the densest areas based on, I think downtown is denser, but I think all along Alcohol Boulevard and all of our neighborhoods, some of the densest in the city after the redistricting. And to just keep shoving stuff into our areas just compounds all the problems that they need to get away from. So anything you guys can do, it would be very beneficial.
Okay. I'm gonna sort of say, let's send the summary out. And the reason I'm saying that is because my battery's down to about 20% now, and I have a couple things left to say, so we can adjourn.
I'm done.
Okay. Send that because that's really important, and people should think about, making comments.
Should I send all 3 just in one email?
Yes.
Okay.
Just send it, and yeah, that would be good. Thank you. It's a lot. I've listened to it. I started posting the links. Paul Coogan from Normal Heights does post record them live, the meetings, and they're on his Facebook page, and the link is on our website now under resources. I haven't figured out where to put it, but if you want to listen to the CPC meetings, you can find the information there. Okay, the last thing, and I'm just going to make this very brief. Die battery. The Mid-City Community Plan update, working group. We had our first meeting at the end of April. This was not an open meeting. Want to be clear, it was an orientation. They really just wanted to set the ground rules for how often we would expect to meet and best days for everyone. I did meet the 3 representatives from the Eastern area. 2 of them are from El Cerrito, and 1 is from Rolando Park, and he's actually known, Kristen and I know him. He's a planner, Zach Young. Got her name, Angelica
He's on
Roca.
the committee and he's a planner?
Yeah, there are 3 planners in the working group. One from El Cerrito, she's a transportation planner. Zach's a planner, and then it turns out the delegate from Normal Heights planning group is also a planner. And as I should also mention, because she had to leave early, Emily Perez, who's going to be running for the Rolando seat, is a planner. So we'll have our own on our board here. She has a degree in architecture and she's a planner. The Mid-City group will be meeting quarterly. The plan is to rotate the meetings in each of the 4 planning groups to give everybody an opportunity. I'll have those dates. I think the first one's the end of June. The next one will be in September. They will be open to the public. It's possible they want us to meet first, but they're open meetings to the public. The existing conditions report is going to be available sometime in the next week. I already asked. I will be sharing that with the board to take comments back. Alex did say it's going to be a lot of pictures, but a lot of appendices in the back. They are doing outreach. He asked to meet with community council members. Sonia and I met with them. We did a Zoom meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago. He just wanted to drill down to that level of what community council's concerns are. I don't know if he's reaching out to anyone else. I don't know. And the putting everything, making sure it's transparent. There's a meeting summary and the presentation they gave at the orientation are again on our website. As stuff comes in, I will make sure everything gets posted. Questions, things like that, show up at the meetings. And please encourage the communities to get out to these workshops. It's, we don't have a say if we don't have people out there telling them things. Okay. Danielle, you had a question or a comment because it's 9:01 and my battery's going. Yes.
So does everybody know about the workshop that's coming up at Hoover High this Saturday? from
Yes, I
11 to
sent the
3?
flyer out to everyone.
Okay, great. And then there's a Zoom one coming up the following Wednesday, right?
Following week, yep.
Okay, please show up to those. That's how I
Yes.
originally got started at Hoover High at the original Mid-City Plan update, way back.
Thanks, Danielle. Laura?
How are they saying they're being transparent? What, Alex and his group? Because it seems like we hear they've gone to our high schools with people they've hired from colleges in different areas. We hear all that peripherally. We don't know what the heck they're talking about. We don't know who they're having do what kind of interface with the students and with the people that they're bringing down from, I think, Santa Clara or something. I mean,
No, they're from San Luis
Albany?
Obispo.
Oh, San Luis Obispo, okay.
And
Just all sorts of things that to me, I don't feel like there's any transparency in this process right now. So your transparency comment was a little surprising.
yeah, I think, so we don't have a contentious talk next time Alex comes. When I find out he's coming, I'd like everyone to prepare their questions so that I can send them to Alex ahead of time. I think that'd be much more productive than, and give him time to respond. I felt like his presentation really felt like a presentation to upper management. Oh, we did 20 workshops here, we did this here, and not really any meat to it. But again, we have to show up at the meetings.
Oh,
I don't feel that the working group, I really, at this point, don't know what the working group is going to do. Except that we'll be privy to see stuff before it's shown to the public. I couldn't tell you. So anyway, that's my takeaway from it.
Well, how is it going to be transparent? How are we going to see what they're doing?
You have to go to the meetings.
These are
Well,
results.
first of all, we can't do anything till we see the existing conditions report because we don't even know what anything in the plan would be based on without seeing that report.
Well, I understand that. I just find it very curious that we're told they have had these meetings, no information about what the meetings were about, information and feedback, nothing.
Well, the meetings have all been posted on their webpage.
Well, like the ones at the school.
Yeah, but there have been no other meetings that they've been reported on yet. So again, I think
that they have meetings, but then don't tell us about what's talked about. To me, that's weird.
well, okay, but where's he going to report it unless he comes back to this meeting?
Well, on the website, they could certainly
Okay.
put together things on the website.
Well, let's suggest that when he
Yeah.
comes back then.
Because it just feels like we're totally in the gray zone where there's no
Yeah.
information. And it's our neighborhoods and we're gonna be living here and.
Planning groups represent 25% of the working group. Interesting, planners represent 25% of the working group.
Are they planners for cities?
No, there's a transportation planner. She, and Zach works for a company, I don't know.
Like an engineering company or something? Or city plan?
It's all in mystery to me. Yes.
So this committee has no charge? It has no description of what it's going to actually do?
No.
Oh, And that's not going to happen.
What do you mean?
Well, the first order of business is what the hell are we doing and why are we doing it and how are we doing it?
Yeah.
What's the charge? What's the charge from the city for the? It'd be a
Nothing.
big question to raise. I'll raise
Yeah.
it to Alex.
Yeah.
No one else does, because it's like, it's sort of what, you're just sitting there and.
I had,
This is nothing like a planning group meeting has ever been. I mean, we went to the college once.
yeah,
Those college meetings, there were presentations, there was feedback from the community, there was input. It was very transparent being the word. This is transparent as mud.
I think that's not what they want to do here.
No.
I will say the college area meetings were pretty contentious. Everyone I attended seemed,
Well, apparently Uptown and Mayor Mesa were too, but apparently all of them have been.
yeah,
But I think what's happening, this is a new model they're prototyping. We're the guinea pigs.
we are.
This is going to be the new way in which they want to do planning. They
Mhm.
don't want to deal with.
In which planning
people
groups,
in places like college.
do you remember at that inclusive engagement guide where they showed the flower petal of how they're doing community outreach and soliciting information? And planning groups are just one petal of the flower. Well, that's pretty much what this is, really. We're 25% of the input that they'll be collecting.
I understand, but we should all be able to have information on the information they're collecting and all those other
Okay,
things.
so I'm saying that when Alex comes back, we're going to prepare questions so we can have a productive meeting with him.
And on Saturday, we should be making comments like that.
If you want, sure, if that's what he's taking. It's getting late, it's 9:07. I'm going to make a motion, somebody make a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Thanks, everyone.
Danielle, would you send me your email? Richard, would you send me your email?
Sure.
All right. To people online, good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.